I did think they were kind of pricks. Like, again, going back to the Max Verstappen of it all, timing wise, even if you don't like Horner, unless there was a severe deadline, doing it that week was a dick move anyway. So unless they had a proper reason, because his dog,
he lost his first wife or something, right?
His first wife.
Back.
And if you're like, oh, well, it's like surely he doesn't care about his wife. Yeah, but I'm sorry. Even people who cheat on their wives give a shit about their daughters, and it was his daughter's mother. His daughter's 11 years of age. Even people like that do actually care about their kids. I know enough of them. So I'm sure he's probably thinking about his kids. So firing him during that week when he's looking after his daughter and everything, 11 years old, that's a dick move. And that as well, from a publicity point of view, tells me they didn't give a shit. They had to get it done.
To cap it all off, what do you think happens with Horner? He's not
Alpine. And he's going to keep Franco Colapinto and turn him into the next Verstappen. I couldn't even keep a straight face during it, sorry.
For me, the question is, well,
he can't do anything until the end of the year.
The resources, how does he build an infrastructure that parallels top teams?
The thing is, right, I think the simple fact is...
That is the one part of the equation that I don't know.
Eccleston's about to die, so he's going to leave him lots of money. So I think that's where he'll get the cash from.
Look, it was 20 years ago and I would have said the same statement.
Come on,
just
imagine this, right? Just think about this. Eccleston's worth 3 billion, something like this, right? So
no, he's more than that.
So, but the point is, Eccleston
way more than that, by the way.
Well, Eccleston's got enough money that he could help put enough in that Horner could then get backing from other people, right? Like enough to kind of get the ball rolling. Yeah. F1 is huge at the minute, so they're in basically. They've got to basically buy out, and Alpine has put itself. My point is,
worth 2 billion right now. Fine.
Sure. Well, but Alpine themselves don't actually. Yeah. Roughly,
so that's
right.
How much? 600 million.
600 or 700 million, right?
Yeah.
Alpine's also put themselves in a very bad situation in that it's basically an open secret that they want out, which is like the worst negotiating position to be in. Because if you're like, you want to be in a position where you're like, no, we want to stick around for a few more years because then you can keep pushing the price up. When you're literally going, we're trying to get out of here as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And you do that by bringing Flavio in and kicking out the CEO of the company. It's so obvious that you just want to sell.
CEO, look at him went himself. He went after basically ruining everything. So
he did a good job. Yeah. As you say all the time, good job. But my point is, he could definitely get the backing. I think Alpine makes the most sense in terms of ownership.
Look, he'll get the backing in terms of that. I'm not.
I just don't think finances are going to be a huge issue for him. I think he can get the finances. You know
how? Because
he can lead a consortium. Like this is how they're done. You know,
consortium is fine for me. As I said, the 25. It could easily be a 25 each. He could basically get a quarter. Yeah. Even him becoming a owner of a team is not a problem for me.
Yeah.
The problem for me is how he's going to fund the entire team and the entire business.
Easily.
Yeah. Sponsorships will do the day-to-day running. But for Alpine to become a front-running team, there's a lot of work that needs to go. The capital expense.
Yeah, the capex and all that sort of stuff.
The entire thing. Apparently, Aston Martin has pretty much spent close to $1 billion or so.
Yeah.
To get the facilities up to date. And Aston is also pretty outdated, by the way. When it comes to that.
You have to think though, like
proper wind tunnel either.
So Alpine at the moment own like 70% right? So I think it's like
no.
The other group
owns less. It owns
less now, is it? Yeah.
Because
I know the other
all these stars.
The sports stars bought 24.9% or something, or 24%, because it was just under 24%. It was 23% because 24% is enough to have
24.99, right? In Europe,
no,
to not have a power.
I think it's more than 24. No, I think in Europe it's 24%, not 25. So I think it's 23 point something.
23.99. Okay,
probably because that's what gives you a certain amount of control of it, like a say basically, as opposed to being a fully silent investor. I'm sure there's other investors as well, but
I think there are more.
But my point is, like, if he even gets, he doesn't need to get 33. It doesn't need to be the exact same setup as
can be different.
It could be 24, 25%. It could be just enough that he has kind of a say in the company, basically, to where kicking him out means actually buying him out of the company, like, you know.
I think that's what he needs, right?
Yeah,
something similar to what Toto has.
And I don't see any reason why he can't go and get like a Hyundai or a Chinese brand or something that wants to fucking buy into Formula One and get them to fund it.
That's what
I just think there's so many rich people out there that would be happy to go like, okay, we'll pay for Horner to come in.
Cyril Abiteboul and
that's going to be a problem. But my point is, there's tons and tons of brands that would be willing to jump in, especially if they look at it as, okay, well, we can put some funding in and we don't have to actually physically run it. So we just sign a check and Horner runs it. That's the ideal situation for a lot of brands. You know, like, I think most brands, like, think of Ford, for example. Ford have pumped money into Red Bull, not nearly as much as he would need.
Very nothing.
Very little. I think it's like 30 million a year. It's a tiny amount. But the point is, they really just wanted their name on an engine.
That's it.
That was it. You know. But there's a lot of brands who
involved, by the way.
Sure, and there's Ford. A lot of brands and billionaires who would love to have their name on something like this and happily would kick in a ton of money to own part of it without having to do anything, you know?
Especially with F1
and especially
becoming big.
Chinese and like Saudi and Russian investors and all these people, they don't really give a shit about Horner's allegations because, well, Horner's a guy, and in some of those countries you can do whatever you want. So, like, they don't really care about Western ideals. So they're not going to be too pushed. My point is, like, let's be honest here. A Saudi fund doesn't really give a shit about Horner getting his finger out on WhatsApp. You know, like, they don't care. So there's a lot of, I've seen some other, maybe it was the race, maybe someone else being like, well, he might find it hard to get backing because of the allegations. I'm like, have you watched Formula One before?
Motorsport.
Like, it was a cigarette branding exercise for 40 years. Like, what are you talking about? You know, like, these people live these people must live in LA.
I think even
right?
you don't remember this. You do know Christian Horner basically posed naked for a sponsorship.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah. And sure, Jordan, like back then, like the women that they had. Like, I love people were calling out Nico Hülkenberg for stuff like last week. And it was like, guys, look up any of your favorite drivers, including Lewis Hamilton, who a lot of them had in their profile photos. And it's like, the things he has said about the grid girls over the years, like, he's just, guys, like, I'm sorry, but you can't just, anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just,
if you have to set a timeline of Horner's return, how you think it's going to go?
Well, I think,
I think it's, first of all, his employment currently, he is still employed with Red Bull.
He's working at a £50 million buyout or something is the latest, right?
So it would be, I think he would be released by the end of the year. Probably that's what the timeline
from
is.
what I understand is he's pushing for way more than 50 million, right? Okay. They're pushing for less. And it seems like he's got at least, like, he's got 12 months, because I think the maximum, as far as I understand it, in Formula One, the maximum gardening leave you can put is 12 months. I believe there's a regulation on that. So you can't have like 3 years gardening leave, like, it's just in the regulations. So,
but gardening leave, does it apply for termination?
Huh?
It applies.
It depends, but he hasn't technically been terminated, so they can work that around the regulations. He's been. The problem is,
what's going on?
As far as I understand,
technicality here.
Someone said this to me on Twitter, and I was explaining that, like, basically, the thing is, they were like, oh yeah, but they can just keep him employed so his gardening leave doesn't kick off for as long as they want. So basically keep him there. Like, no, that's not the way it works when you're, like, with lower level people, you can fucking move them around and cause them a lot of headache and so on. But Formula One has regulations to stop that, like, stop you playing around like that, first of all, because teams with lots of money used to do that in the past, so they stopped them doing it. The other thing is, when it comes,
right?
Yeah, and sure, that makes a difference. But yeah, like, when it comes
in terms of he has political links as well.
Bernie and all these guys, all of his friends,
right? So,
all of his friends have a load of political. But my point is, when you're a CEO or a high person, like, in those positions, in your contract, it normally means if you actually get taken from that position, then automatically it starts a countdown timer to have to officially let you go. So, like, if I'm CEO of a company, you can't, like, hire me as CEO and then go, we don't want to fire him because we'd have to pay him loads, so let's make him the janitor instead. Like, you can't do that. Like, as soon as you remove me from my position publicly, in my contract, it's going to be like, okay, this starts a month to where you have to agree something with me to pay. Horner's been around long enough to know that's in his contract, I'm sure. So there's probably just from what I'm hearing and from what I would assume as well, he's probably owed a certain amount as per his contract with the 12-month gardening leave. They're probably offering like 25 million on that, and saying 12 months gardening leave, whatever, and he's going, I'll do 6 with 70 million. So they're probably working to go like, okay, we won't give you 12 months, we'll give you 6 months, but you lose like 25 million of your payout. And I'm sure he's probably just going to Alpine or whatever, or big buyers, to say, right, what can I get to make it worthwhile to take that pay cut, So it's just a matter of time, but I would imagine the end of this year he'll be completely free. He's probably thinking to himself, well, 6 months is fine anyway, because I'm not going to any other team before the end of the year anyway. So, and it gives him time to relax at home for a while. I did think they were kind of pricks. Like, again, going back to the Max Verstappen of it all, timing wise, even if you don't like Horner, unless there was a severe deadline, doing it that week was a dick move anyway. So unless they had a proper reason, because his dog,
he lost his first wife or something, right?
His first wife. And if you're like, oh, well, it's like surely he doesn't care about his wife. Yeah, but I'm sorry. Even people who cheat on their wives give a shit about their daughters, and it was his daughter's mother. His daughter's 11 years of age. Even people like that do actually care about their kids. I know enough of them. So I'm sure he's probably thinking about his kids. So firing him during that week when he's looking after his daughter and everything, 11 years old, that's a dick move. And that as well, from a publicity point of view, tells me they didn't give a shit. They had to get it done. So that's why I really think Verstappen's staying. But anyway, we'll see. But yeah, I think end of the year.
In terms of what's your prediction when he comes back? And Alpine is where you think he'll come back, but
yeah, I just don't see anywhere else where it works out for me. And I think it'll be Alpine from 2026. I just think that, like, from start of 2026, I think very start of the season he'll be there.
Okay,
but the only, I think there's a problems with that. One is getting investment. The question is, can he do that before 2026? The simple fact is, I think if he calls up like Flavio and the guys at Alpine and says, like, I want to come in. Like, I don't think necessarily Flavio goes straight away. Like, I think Flavio stays there, gets all the backing. Because I could see a situation where
I think Flavio is just the age. He's getting
I think he goes eventually, but I think he could be the guy that sits in to kind of get the two sides formed. Because think about it. If you want someone who kind of goes, right, like Horner calls up and says, I'm in, let's do this, but I need to get the backing. But I can't do anything until January because I'm here at Red Bull. So I technically can't touch any of that. Flavio's the perfect guy to go, cool, I'm on it. Goes off, talks to Bernie. They start getting all the people so that literally January 1st, Horner walks out the door into another office, signs the backroom deals that Flavio and Bernie have been doing quietly, and boom, he's in. Like, if you wanted anyone to do backroom deals that would be on the grey area of Formula One, and maybe over the grey area, Flavio and Bernie are the two guys you count on. Yeah. So, and he's very good friends with Flavio as well. He's not going to want to work under him, but I could see Flavio seeing this as...
Look, I don't think Horner comes back in any other role that is lesser than being a team owner. I think he doesntoto
come 100%.
Back in any
and that team owner, as I said, could be 24%. It doesn't need to actually own the team.
Of course.
It could be exactly the same as Toto, where he doesn't actually
Toto
own the whole
started
team.
at a much lower percentage, and ultimately he kind of took more and more stakes.
So he could start there, and like there could be bonus. It could even be like, okay, if I get us to the front, it jumps up to 33%. There's all these ways they can work this stuff in.
It can be done. That's not.
But I could see Flavio sticking around as the guy to help with like sponsorships. And to be honest as well, there's been some talk, which I kind of agree with, which is Horner had enjoyed at the start of his career having Helmut there as the bad guy to fire people and do the things he doesn't want. That could literally be the Flavio thing. You keep Flavio around to help with sponsorships. And it's like, Flavio, I don't like this guy anymore. Flavio's like, no problem, I go fire him now. Why are all them Russian? I don't know. That's the only accent I can do. But and I can do Southern American as well. These Southern whites. Anyway, we've gone way off the board. But yeah, that's my thinking. I think Alpine. I just don't think anywhere else works.
Yeah, for now, even if I have to make a pick, I think Alpine. But I don't think he comes back next year, January.
Quick. Maybe
I think longer, he waits until mid 2026. Because 2026, start of the season, you see what the layout is. right? In terms of the power units and everything. And then you make the call, because look, if somehow the Mercedes engine tanks and Alpine is right at the back, and the commitment has been made for multiple years of power unit, he doesn't want to join a team that will be right at the back, isn't it?
Well,
he'd want a better.
I mean, maybe, but then again, it depends. Depends who the backers are, and it also depends, because like that could also be a great way to play it. In that, like, if Alpine next year have the Mercedes engine and the Mercedes engine unlikely event doesn't work out, and Alpine are at the back, he could see that as, well, I'll get in cheaper and I'll grab a new engine supplier for the year after, because Toto's going to kick me out anyway. Maybe. So like Toto will have to supply him for 2 years anyway, because it's been contracted as far as I understand. So even if Horner does buy the team at like start of next year, until the end of 2027, he would have to get the engines from Mercedes. And if Mercedes terminate the contract, then Audi, Red Bull powertrains or Honda would have to supply him at that point, because they will have been in the sport for 2 years. Red Bull powertrains is unlikely. Honda I could see, but it depends on how Aston feel about that, I guess. Yeah, so probably not then. So it's likely maybe Audi, that he gets. Yeah. But I don't see Red Bull supplying him if they're still around.
Plus, I'd still wait and see if maybe, because look, Horner is going to get calls. He's going to get calls from a lot of places, maybe even outside of Formula One as well. But let's see what he does. For now,
maybe he goes to Ferrari. Maybe his ego gets ahead of him, and he goes, "I can do what the others haven't done." Maybe I just don't see it.
That's not Horner.
It's stupidity. Yeah, no, he's fairly pragmatic. So
the thing is, what has happened to him right now, he doesn't want a repeat of it. And at Ferrari, he's going to get a repeat of it.
That's my thinking.
Without doubt.
Well, I mean, unless Ferrari offer him fucking a $500 million contract and he uses it as his down payment for Alpine. Like, guys, I'll be with you in 2 years. I just got to sort something out here.
Yeah.
that would be brilliant. Goes to Ferrari, runs it into the ground, takes his cash, jumps to Alpine.
I mean, look, he doesn't need to go to Ferrari. Ferrari will do that himself.
Yeah.